I don't have a particularly dramatic coming to faith story. I've always been in a church-going family. It was a part of my upbringing, and I've never known a time when in my life I haven't been connected to a Christian worshipping community. However, that hasn't always been in the Church of England. My parents are Methodists, and I attended a Baptist church for a season after I left home. So why am I an Anglican priest? Of course, God's calling has got a lot to do with that, but for all the frustrations of being C of E, and there are lots, I love the Anglican Church. Much of that is because of her breadth of tradition and practice and her different ways of being church. Each of our local parish churches serves that parish. There isn't a single square inch of the country that isn't covered. We are truly the church for all England. Every community, every person, every shop, factory, hospital, school and prison, and so much more besides. We minister to them all. Except we don't. There are so many places where the church is yet to make much impact at all. If you were to make a map of all the places where the people in your church live and work and hang out, I bet you'd find some gaps in the communities you're called by God to love and serve. So why is this call to every community so important? Where does it come from? Why should we worry if we're not reaching everyone? Jesus' final commission to his disciples before he returned to heaven is recorded for us by Luke in Acts chapter 1 and verse 8. He writes, "You will receive power when the Holy Spirit has come upon you, and you will be my witnesses in Jerusalem, in all Judea and Samaria, to the ends of the earth." Those, of course, the words of Jesus. Every corner of the earth. Jesus wanted his disciples then and now to go into every community, and not just the distant corners, but the near corners too. The corners in the next street, where people have different views to us, where they live differently, speak differently. Jesus was talking about the corners that honestly we find a bit scary. Jesus' disciples knew what it meant to go into the unknown, what might even have felt like enemy territory to people who were even actively working against the church. Jesus asked Ananias to do that when he went to meet with Saul, who was to become Paul. But God's people have always been aliens in a foreign land. God reminded them to look after the strangers because they were foreigners in Egypt. Peter called his readers aliens and exiles in the world, but not of it. Of course, the New Testament church was still pretty reluctant to do that, just as we are. Peter had to be challenged in a dream before he would seek out a Roman soldier called Cornelius and his family. But doing so led to the spread of the good news of Jesus outside of the Jewish nation. And even so, it took quite a lot of effort and persuasion and nearly a bust-up in a debate in Jerusalem before the rest of the church realized it was the right thing to do. God is continually calling us into new lands. But each time we've done so, God has been faithful. We're called into new communities to share the love of God and the good news of Jesus. This is how every person will know Jesus' love for themselves. This is how we obey Jesus' last and greatest commission. So where is our Jerusalem, our Judea, our Samaria? Which are the ends of the earth to which we have yet to reach in our communities? How, with God's help, will we reach them? That's the challenge that God has asked us to meet.